and Bobby. You have the power of Dennis and the experience that he possessed, and absolute flawless in the ring in terms of his knowledge of the business, and really it's in tag team wrestling. And you look at the high flying skills of Bobby, and they matched up with each other. But both of them really didn't have signature moves inside the ring. And I don't think they had as much of chemistry in their moves, except for the rocket launcher and, some of the power moves and stuff that they would do. Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane invented stuff that would become legendary in tag team wrestling throughout the world in the 1990s and beyond. The flapjack is long known as one of the best moves of all time by the Midnight Express. No one had ever seen it before, and these two really pulled it off just tremendously. The second move, I really don't know how you can really phrase it. It really wasn't a specific name for it, but in short, Stan Lane would Irish whip his opponent across the ring. He would take him down by the leg, and Bobby Eaton would basically a leg to leg takedown, and you had Bobby Eaton come off the rope and deliver an elbow. No one had seen that before, and I've seen that countless times throughout the future, past the 1980s. I saw that a ton with all the teams really. They were a revolutionary team. They had great moves. I rarely saw them off. I have to admit this, I have never seen a tag team match involving Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton in which they made mistakes. It seemed like they were always on all the time. Now, of course, they probably made mistakes, but I'm just saying from what I've seen, I never saw those two off kilter. I never saw those two, just out of whack in terms of how they communicated with each other. And what many people don't know, similar to Bobby and Dennis, Stan and Bobby had chemistry before that. They were feuding with each other in Mid-South, and they really got to know each other, and they were doing singles matches against each other. Like I said right at the beginning of this whole thing, each version of the Midnight Express, the previous version, had an effect on the next version. It was a domino effect. Because these guys knew each other, they already had chemistry. Whether it was Bobby and Randy, whether it was Dennis and Randy, or whether it was Dennis and Bobby, or Bobby and Stan, or Cornette and everybody in between, they all had a great chemistry with each other. I could watch any match involving the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. The first tag team I really loved growing up, and I guess that's why I have so much love for them right now, that I could watch any match with them and just watch it throughout and not fast forward or anything. It's a beauty to watch. I wish tag team wrestling was like that again. But as I was going to state, 1988 was a very pivotal year in regards to the Midnight Express. In early 1988, they were the tag team champions. They were the United States tag team champions. But they were in a feud. They finished a feud with the Rock and Roll Express, and ironically, they have a feud with the Fantastics, who eventually come in. Now, I consider this match I'm going to talk about as the best pure tag team match I saw in Jim Crockett Promotions during the late 1980s, or really throughout the 1980s. And that's a bold statement because there was an assload of great tag team wrestling. But I can remember several years after it happened, and I watched the video of the Clash of the Champions. The first one, the inaugural Clash of the Champions. And there was a match involving the Midnight Express and the Fantastics for the United States Tag Team Championship. I never saw a better match. And I told the Fantastics this, and I also told Beautiful Bobby and Dennis Condrey this, although Dennis wasn't involved in it. I definitely told the Fantastics this face to face. And I told them, I've seen that match a lot. I've seen it probably about 30 times. I've never fast forwarded the match. I never skipped past anything. I looked at it from start to finish. And it was flawless. Like the effort you guys put out on that match is something that all of the wrestlers in the back, whether you're tag team or not, should look and study. It was orchestrated just beautiful. You had the Midnight Express come out and you had the Fantastics come out, and they beat the hell out of each other outside the ring for a good 5 or 6 minutes. It set the tone for how good that match was going to be. You had counters back and forth. You had outside interference. Jim Cornette's interfering in the match. All this stuff happens. The Fantastics think they won the United States Tag Team Championship, only to realize that they had not won the Tag Team Championship and the match was over. And thus you had this feud continuing on and on throughout the summer of 1988. This was about, I'll say, about a 3 or 4 month feud between these two teams that I'm sure they made an assload of money, because that match, now if there's one tag team match you've never seen, and I really stress you do see, it's between the Fantastics and the Midnight Express in March of 1988 in the Clash of Champions. It was the same night of WrestleMania 4. I just strongly advise that you at least give that a shot and check that out, because you would not be disappointed. It was about 20 to 25 minutes of fantastic storytelling. There's not many people that really know how to tell a story like the Fantastics and the Midnight Express when they face each other. I just wanted to throw that out, but that's really what set the tone for the Midnight Express. Now, Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane will become, they won the United States Tag Team Championship on 3 occasions. And they eventually lost it to the Fantastics before winning those championship belts back again for a second time at the Great American Bash of 1988. The Price for Freedom. Definitely check that one out. Where Jim Cornette, he eventually did way too much to the Fantastics by lashing them in the back, and he got his when he was positioned in those small miniature steel cages that for the referees that they were doing back in the late 80s. I believe the first one to do it wasn't a manager. I think it was Manny Fernandez. I think it was him, the Raging Bull. I think he was the first one in Starrcade 86. I'm not positive on that, but when Paul Jones and Boogie Woogie faced each other. But, I'm rambling on. Jim Cornette was suspended high above in that small cage, and they found a way. The Midnight Express found a way to win back the United States Tag Team Championship belts. That's another match I definitely recommend that you go check out. But in September of 1988, something, again, interesting happens. All of a sudden, the Midnight Express are cheered in a match against Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. And this is before Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard left for the WWE. Later in the year, because of a serious money dispute and a principal dispute with the hierarchy in JCP. But neither here nor there. They defeated them for the World Tag Team Championships. And keep in mind, they were already the United States Tag Team Champions. They were the first and only team in the NWA and early WCW history to be simultaneously the United States and World Tag Team Champions. A feat that no one else ever accomplished. And although they only had those belts for the World Tag Team Championship belts for a very, very short period, and eventually they had to relinquish the United States Tag Team Championship, which eventually culminated into a tournament, which concluded at Starrcade of 1988. They were just dominant. They were the first. I misspoke there. They were the first team to do it. The second team to do it was the Steiner brothers. Can't believe I already forgot almost all this stuff. The Steiner brothers had to relinquish the United States Tag Team Championship in early of 1991 when they defeated the Fabulous Freebirds. Just came up, just misspoke there, but they were the first team. The Midnight Express were the first team to be the World Tag Team and United States Tag Team Champions simultaneously. But they lost those titles to the Road Warriors as faces. And the Road Warriors eventually turned heel. And you say to yourself, wow, Road Warriors are a heel? They were heels in the AWA. Didn't really, no one really complained that much. But the Road Warriors were so beloved in the NWA that it was kind of weird at the time. And the way Dusty and the creative at the time did it just really didn't make as much sense. And they